I walked out of jail with $0 and $50,000 in debt. This channel was going to be me documenting every dollar that I earn until I earn $10,000. What I'm going to talk about in here is my current financial situation, how I became in debt, why I'm in debt, how I went to jail, what I went to jail for, and why I'm starting over, and how I'm going to achieve earning $10,000. I'm going to be talking about what I've done in the last 19 days while I've been out of jail and what I've already accomplished and everything that I've done since then. So let me get into first why I went to jail. It's going to sound ridiculous. I went to jail for violating a protection order that was in place for domestic violence that was later dismissed because I never did anything for a domestic violence case. And what I did was I violated the protection order to drop off Christmas gifts to my children. And the judge violated my constitutional rights. She gave me a $100,000 cash only bond on a misdemeanor. And I couldn't bond out. And then she did a secret amendment while I was in there to try to cover her ass in because it's against my constitutional rights. And while I was in there, my car got repoed that I already put $25,000 in. The bank wants $18,000 to pay off the loan. They said right where I'm at is where the depreciating asset and the interest was at, and that I owe them nothing for the rest of the car and they owe me nothing, and they're just taking the car. But I had paid on it for like 4 years. And also everything I owned was in a storage unit. And while I was in there, they auctioned it off. I lost all my sentimentals, pictures of my daughter, just everything that I've accumulated in the last 32 years of my life. And let me start off. Let me rephrase. My name's Albert Perez, and I'm 32 years old. This is not the first time I've been to jail. This is not the first time I've had to start over. So I'm a little bit experienced in this. So I think that I can achieve this by the end of the year, with paying off my debt, potentially knocking both out. So yeah, while I was in jail, a bunch of things happened. They continued to violate my constitutional rights. They continued to do a bunch of civil rights things against me. And so my goals while I'm out is I filed a 1943 civil suit against people in the facility and medical staff for denying me medical needs and everything. I have filed a lawsuit. It's being reviewed by the Northern District of the United States District Court of West Virginia. And currently in 20 days, I've accomplished a decent bit. I've already started working. I already have a job. I've been working for a week. As you can see, my picture is going to show that I have a little bit of a goatee, but I had to shave it to get a respirator fit and make sure I was good there. So yeah, so now you know why I went to jail, and I'm not back on my BS like I was when I was a kid and doing all this crazy stuff. I literally dropped off a giant Stitch doll, some Nerf guns, and a couple of gift cards to my kids to make sure they knew that I love them. And it was about a $50,000 hit, between my car, my stuff in the storage unit, and you can't really put a true value on sentimental stuff. So when I got out, I had the clothes I had on me. Even the little bit of money I had left in my jail account, I didn't have access to on day one. They told me the card reader was down and they were going to have to mail it to me. So I walked out of jail with $0. All my auto pays drained my bank account. My phone had gotten turned off. Yes, I didn't even have a ride from jail. I ended up hitching a ride from somebody else who got out of jail 4 hours later. And yeah, so week one, basically, I was looking for work and trying to get a bank account started because I still had an out-of-state license, and they were gonna let me open up a bank account here. I was trying to recover a couple of my credit cards and see what I had access to, which is crazy because I seen I had access to $1,300 on my Amazon card, and I was like, yes, I still have access to that. And the day after I seen that I had access to it, they closed my account, and there was nothing I could do because the payment, my auto pay, where my bank account drained, my auto pay didn't go through for my monthly payment the month before. And since it declined twice, they closed my account, and there's nothing I could do. I can reapply after 30 days, and that was it. So I thought I had $1,300 to accumulate some stuff, and I didn't. So what I did have was I had a family member who let me come stay. It's my stepdad's mother, my step grandma. She's kind of been my grandma my whole life, and she's allowing me to stay at her house in my stepbrother's room, and I'm here. She allowed me that. So week one, I went and set up food stamps immediately so I could help her with food. I tried to recover what money I could on my credit cards. I ordered them all. They still haven't come in. I had access to a little bit of them. I ordered some stuff for work, a duffel bag. I ordered some clothes, seven of these shirts, a couple shorts and underwear, socks, just so that I have the essentials for work. What she was able to pull out of my car wasn't much. Somehow my wallet's gone. So yeah, so I had to do quite a bit of stuff. I had to re-get a new social. I had to wait for a birth certificate. I've had to do a lot in the first week. Still haven't got my social in the mail, where the credit cards are really, even the food stamp card hasn't even come in. So yeah, but I have 1 week completed for work. I found a job within a week. Went and took a drug test, passed a drug test. Went and had to get a respirator fit check, passed that. I was completing my OSHA 10 card because somehow my OSHA card's gone. So a little bit back history on me for work is I've done construction. I've done a lot of different industries, food industry, cleaning industry, hospitality. I've done a lot of those industries, and mainly construction, right? I went to trade school. I was in one union, and like I said, I had been to jail or prison before. So years ago, I went to prison. I'd been out for 5 years before all this occurred. No trouble, no nothing, and went from a 400 credit score to a 750. Had my own place, had a new car, had a girl, was living the life. At one point, I had 300K in crypto, and I turned 10K into 300K, and got greedy and lost it, and it all trickled downhill. It was like a domino effect into me going to jail, and it all combined happened and left me where I was at. I was able to find a couple pairs of clothes here that I guess I previously left here after I pulled everything. I lived here years ago, and I was able to find a couple pairs of clothes plus what I ordered. So that's where I was at week one. Week two, my biological father in Florida said that he would give me a small loan of $1,000. So very grateful for that. That has helped me over with the food stamp situation where that still hasn't come in. That helped me get the rest of my essential items that I need. I was able to buy a new pair of work boots. I did have my old work boots, but I can't chance going out of state. So what I'm going to be doing is going to be traveling out of state, going to different plants and contractors around the United States. So I should be leaving in another week. I'll do another week at the shop, and then I'll be on the road. Yes, I had job offers for more money. I do not have a car, and right now they're going to pay for my hotel. They're going to pay for my food, and I'm going to be in the company truck with the foreman. So yes, could I be making quite a bit more money in other industries? Yes, I could. I have plans for how long I'm going to be here and what I'm going to do next, because I could rapidly probably do this 10K goal and the $50,000 debt rapid, and then I would like to start a 100K goal and then a million goal. But now it's baby steps. 10K goal, right? That's your emergency fund, So yeah, right now, next week I'll do another week of the shop, and then I'll be going on the road. So, um, yes, I know it's not the best of what I'm making. It is 19 an hour, and they're paying for my hotel and stuff, but they are working a lot of hours. So I should be able to, after child support and stuff, be able to pull in roughly about 1,000 a week starting out. That'll get me my vehicle that I need, because once I have a vehicle, then I have reliability. I don't want to go out of state working on a big job site, because I had an offer to go to a data center. That's a long job and making great money. And 40s, in the 40s, plus a benefit package, working 7 days a week. And I don't want to chance Ubering and then me being late. I've seen those guys on the job site who are late. Oh, the Uber was late. This happened. This, the third. I can't chance that and getting fired and being left in the dark. So, what I'm doing is waiting to get a vehicle and then moving on. Um, I'm very grateful for the company hiring me and hiring me on such a short notice, and just coming in and working with me. I know that it's wrong to do that, only stay with somebody for a couple months, but for this company, it happens all the time. They get 18, 19-year-old kids that go work out of town for a month or two, and then they quit. It happens to them all the time. That's why after 90 days, they give you such a significant raise. It's like $5 or $6, because a lot of people don't make it past that. Could I? Yes, I have the work mentality to do this. I have the drive to do this. But I know I'm valued more than that with my experience level. So, so I've already talked to a union hall, and locally there's about 15 miles or 15 minutes up the road. They're going to be starting a data center, and that's in a couple months. And when that starts, I plan to leave this company and go there. Right? It's close to 40 an hour. I'll be home, um, and I can drive back and forth, and I don't have to pay for a hotel, and I don't have to do that. So that is my goal for after this job. Um, so from there, we'll see what happens and how I'm making money. Right? There's obviously there's other things I'm trying to do besides just physically a 9 to 5 slave, as you can say. Um, I took some of that $1,000 I invested into some AI programming, tried to do a Shopify, kind of not say failed, learned. I learned. And it was definitely a learning process, and I spent a bunch of hours outside of work doing that, probably a good 40 hours trying to figure that out. Advertising, spent a little bit on advertising, probably within the $100 range. Trying to work that out. It was called the zoomiesclub.shop. And it just wasn't working with the AI commercials weren't catching on as quick, and I was getting nervous. I didn't want to keep spending money on advertisement and everything, because I am limited to what I have until I start getting checks. Um, Second off, the lawsuit thing, right? So I'm going in pro se representing myself. I haven't found an attorney, which if anybody has recommendations or knows somebody, I would love a civil rights attorney that would be willing to take this case. A similar case was a class action last year, and it won for 4.4 mil. And there's a lot of things that happen to me, and I'm with AI, with Claude. I have made a very great lawsuit to start it. From the odds of pro se lawsuits actually winning, it's like a 3% chance. So as great as it could be, and as much evidence I have, which I basically have evidence, physical proof that they were destroying legal government documents while I was incarcerated, and they started retaliating against me while I was in there for bringing it to light. And they put me in segregation or the hole for 4 out of 6 months. They didn't allow me a haircut for 6 months, which now I think I'm going to keep it, because a man knows how to build a house knows how to build a foundation out of the rocks that are cast upon him. So if this is some of the rocks that are being cast upon me, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna run with it. And so I'm working on that too, and that could be a potential that could blow this whole challenge out of the water. Hopefully. But that is not my 100% backbone to this challenge, right? Working is, and then trying to find like a second means of income, whether it's YouTube, whether it's selling merch, whether it's Shopify, something, right? Kind of having a bot, try to design a day trading bot that I can give $100 to and that I can learn from and that I can do that. So I'm trying to code that. So one of my first things is trying to get a laptop, because right now I'm just working on a phone, or I'm going to the library. I've been going to the library pretty much all last week, trying to do stuff with the Shopify, trying to do the lawsuit stuff, printing copies, doing stuff, and like, thank you to the local public library because I don't even have a library card and they've been giving me guest pass, so thank you. So right now, where I stand with where I'm at in my financial situation, I said I'd get into why I'm in debt, right? So let's talk about that. $50,000 of debt is a lot. It is a lot. And 25,000 of it is child support. And I know what a lot of you guys are gonna think is, wow, you ain't paying your child support? Well, there's a lot of things that happen, right? While I was in prison years ago, they charged me $10,000 while I was in prison, and they weren't supposed to. They were supposed to be charging me the state minimum of $50. Then when I got out and we were readjusting my child support, because I reached out to them, had a DNA on my son, and was trying to get my child support up because I wanted to see them, right? And they wouldn't go back and audit. Even though I was a ward of the state, they would not go back and change that. Even though they were charging me compounded interest on it and everything, they would not go back and audit it because they said I would have had to have filed for it while I was incarcerated. That is nothing that they tell you in there. They do not just give you this type of information while you're in there. They keep a lot of the inmates in the blind, and a lot of the things they do to people in there is very not right. So that happens to a lot of people. They don't realize until after they get out that they had to have filed it while they were in there. So they charged me roughly 15,000 of the 25,000 is while I was incarcerated, 10 from prison and about 5 from this time. And luckily they kept not giving me the address and giving me the wrong courthouse. Well, it's the same judges, different courthouses. Well, now they sent it back to me, my petition, everything. Technically, the court received it the last week of my incarceration. So I'm hoping they honor that and they audit my last time in there and take 5,000 and drop it down to 20. The other 10 was just me being young. I was young throughout my 20s. I had a kid when I was 20 with somebody who was 36, and she went through the litigation process and just put me through the ringer. Between having family members that I didn't realize were her family represent me, and stealing my deposit and saying they didn't want to represent me, told me not to come to court. I didn't have to come to court. They'd represent me that day. It was nothing big. And while I didn't go to court, they put in a petition that they didn't want to represent me anymore because I couldn't come to court. So he legally just stole $3,500 from me and my family. So I've been put through the ringer through this woman for a while now, and putting me in jail for dropping off Christmas gifts is ridiculous. And at one point, one of the male officers was agreeing with me, and the female judge and the female prosecutors, stop agreeing with him, because I just spoke out about how sometimes in this specific community, a lot of the times they side with the women, and the women within the court system and everything, they all kind of, and they do this to fathers all the time. I watched my biological father, I watched my stepfather, and now me. And even my stepbrother deals with the same similar thing for a woman in that near area. Not the exact area, but similar. So I just see it a lot, and I spoke out about it, and that's what got me a $100,000 cash only bond, and not letting me bond out, is because I spoke out about the corruption within that certain courthouse. And so that's where I'm at with that and why I have debt. Now that explains 25 out of the 50. And the reason I say 50 is because credit card debt. So a couple years ago, I tried turning $10,000 into $300,000 in crypto. I've never had the money to invest. I've always been struggling or doing this or getting kicked out here or trying to make it and my car blow up or something, right? At one point, I had a family member who was the wealthiest person in my family that I know of, and I tried to get her to invest in Bitcoin way back in the day. And just a few years ago, I reversed her APY that she said she was receiving monthly, and I put it in a Bitcoin calculator. And after I reversed it, I could tell how much money was in there in her investment account for that specific stuff. And I put it in a Bitcoin calculator and determined that she would be worth approximately 25 to 45 million dollars. But she looked at me and said, "Why would I listen to you how to invest my effing money in?" Okay, I understand that I'm young and I'm dumb and I'm not perfect, and I've been the least perfect in the family in some people's eyes. And so she didn't listen to me. She could have retired the whole family, um, which is fine. That is her decision. That is her money. She worked for it, and I understand that now that I'm older and I have my own money and I work for my own stuff. So I have to respect her on that. But having said that, I finally got an opportunity, and I took all the money I could save up for a whole year after paying for my car, paying my child support, paying for my home, everything. I was able to invest $10,000 in crypto, and try to. I was really in the volatile stuff, the memes and this and that, doing telegrams and stuff. And while I was in there, I become down $8,000 and had $2,000. I made a $1,500 investment before I went to sleep. Woke up, it was $22,000. I slowly started liquidating it out of it throughout the day, and by the time the 16-hour window, basically a 16-hour shift passed, I had pulled out $42,500 out of that $1,500. So I made like $41,000 profit in one day. And then I tried to play with it and tried to make more, and I lost money on the Haktua Girl coin. I did stuff, and about $30,000 I put it into a crypto with these guys who had built significant companies that sold for millions of dollars, and a crypto blockchain that is utilized by a multi-billion-dollar company. So I trusted them. It got up to 300,000, and with slippage and liquidation purposes, because I was the biggest whale in there, I could have pulled out $167,000. But I got greedy. I had a set number. I had a set goals to when to pull out, and it was actually 160K, and I was past that. And I knew what I was doing was chancing it, and I chanced it, and I pretty much lost it all very quickly. And I remember it was down to $40,000, and I was gonna put it. I was talking to the girl I was dating at the time, and I was gonna put it in the Trump coin. And I said, I'm gonna regret this. I seen it 15 minutes after it launched, and I said, I'm gonna regret this. I'm gonna regret this. And sure enough, I do. If I would have done that, I would have made $800,000 in 72 hours. And I was trying to be loyal to the people I was with, and unfortunately, it backfired. I was hoping when I got out of jail, it was going to be doing good, because what they were doing was a bunch of unique stuff, and it just seemed like they completely fell out while I was incarcerated. So that's very unfortunate, and I should have. The loyalty thing, I'm starting to realize, is not always the play, right? And sometimes I should have just chose my gut feeling and went with the decision to go into the Trump coin, and pretty much said screw everybody there, because I wasn't walking away with much more than what I had put in anyways, even though I was an original whale and my holdings were at 300K at one point. I wasn't walking away with much profit, and I should have did that, and that would have been life-changing money. So while I was up all this money, I was using my credit cards because I was trying to just grow my crypto, and it was growing, and I wasn't trying to pull out any of the money or liquidate it. So unfortunately, before all this happened, I had and lost all my crypto. I had maxed out some of my credit cards. $15,000 credit cards here, $1,000 here, there. So I'm right about $50,000 in debt because of the credit card situation during crypto, my child support, and an incarceration situation, and taking this $1,000 loan to start out. Okay, so now you know why I went to jail. Now you know my debt situation, and I kind of got into what I was going to be doing for income. And so with all that knowledge, during this documentary series, or personal finance series or whatever. I'm going to show you step for step on how much I have when I have it. You know, right now out of the 1,000 left, I have like $450. I bought a box of pizza the other day. I had to buy new Thorogood boots, which were like $300. I didn't have to go with name brand. I did buy American. I am American, so I'm trying to be loyal, you know, and I spent quite a bit of the money on just essential stuff, right? I'll be getting a check next week. I've already worked the whole week, and I'll be working next week, so it's fine. I looked into the company I'm working for is selling a few trucks, kind of looking at one that's about $5,000, and then go from there. And then hopefully one of the battery plants start up locally, and I don't have to continue being on the road so much. Yes, I'll be working all the time, but I can be local. I can go have coffee with someone. I can go to church on Sundays, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's where I'm at right there with that. That's pretty much all the topics that I was going to get into during this thing. If there's anything you guys want to like hear about or see per se, yeah, like is my grandmother giving me a ride? Yeah. So could it be worse? Yes. There's people out here starting with way worse, right? There are people coming out here with nowhere to go, going to homeless shelter. You know, when I got out of jail, I was able to get my brother to cash at me $50. I got a ride from people from there, from the jail. Within 5 minutes, people were shooting up in the car and everything. I mean, I had to hustle just to get home. And thank God I made it home and where I'm at now, or at my grandma's house. And I'm very grateful for her. Nothing is picture perfect, right? It is what it is, and I'm just grateful for what I have. And so if there's anything you guys want to hear, how or why or when it happened, let me know. If you like this content, you know, subscribe to me, give me some likes, give me some comments. I will be putting up some shorts regularly. That'll be a lot shorter, dense, you know. You can check that out. I did that for the last 10 days. I got like 12,000 views. I got like a few dozen hours watched and 11 subs. So shout out to my 10 subs from the videos I posted. My first one was my old brother-in-law, so I know it didn't come from this series, but so yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll try to upload a video at least once a week and tell you guys where I'm at, you know. So thank you.